Hey guys, so today I'm gonna be sharing with you my 60-pound weight loss story. If you did not know, this is what I used to look like 8 years ago, and this is what I look like now. So I did that without a gym, personal trainer, detox teas, diet pills. I didn't pay anyone to lose weight. I did it all on my own, and I've actually been able to maintain that weight loss now for 7 freaking years. I can't believe the time has passed by that fast. It's actually kind of scary. Losing weight is difficult, but it's actually more difficult to keep it off. And there actually is statistic to go with that I found on the internet. It says that people usually regain about 80% of their weight loss in 5 years. That's a pretty high number. And I remember even hearing that statistic too before I started my weight loss journey. But here is me 7 years later. I'm gonna split this video into 3 different parts. So the first part is going to be all about my weight loss story. The second part is gonna be how I've maintained my weight loss. And then the third part is going to be a little Q&A. I asked you guys on my YouTube page. Oh, the lighting is weird. What is I'm looking like Casper the Ghost. Casper? Normal. Casper? Normal. You asked me any questions that you have, and I got 145 questions. So I am so sorry in advance if I do not answer your question. I'm just gonna kind of go based off of the ones with the most likes. I think without further ado, I've babbled on enough. So let's start the video. So the first part of the video, let's talk about my weight loss story and how I managed to lose 60 pounds. So this was me 8 years ago. I just graduated high school and I was pretty overweight for my size. I'm only 5'2" and I weighed about 165 pounds. What's actually really funny about this is people today in my everyday life that didn't actually know me back then, when I tell them this story, they always get kind of shook because they think that I'm naturally skinny. They see me eat all this different foods and all this junk food and I really enjoy myself, but there's a big difference in how I eat now versus back then. Back then, every single meal was takeaway. Like, bitch, when I got my first job when I think I was 15 or 16 and I actually had money. Girl, I went crazy. I used to eat takeaway for breakfast. Actually, I didn't eat breakfast. For lunch, dinner, snacks, desserts, I would eat McDonald's every single day. I would eat at the job I was working at because it was a restaurant. I got 50% off. So whenever I had a shift, I'd eat there. So it was like burgers and nuggets and stuff like that. It was so good. I would drink like 7-Eleven Slurpees every single day. Oh, they're so good. I'd add like little marshmallows to the top too. Like the ones, because I was at 7-Eleven and you know how they have marshmallows for the hot chocolates? I'd pour those on top. It was so good. So I started to gain weight and slowly crept on me, but you can obviously see the difference of me before when I first started high school and when I graduated. People would talk behind my back actually because they all noticed that I gained weight and say how I'm letting myself go and like how I'm so fat. I remember at parties someone called me Chubby Megan. When it was prom, I remember like this girl who wasn't really my friend, like she kind of said to me, oh, do you think you should like maybe start working out before prom? And I was like, no, like I'm fine, blah blah blah. And it didn't really register to me that she was like hinting that I was overweight. So it was just like little comments like that, but I never really thought that I was having a problem until I went to Australia. So when I was in Australia, bitch, I went crazy with the food. Obviously I'm on vacation, so I'm gonna eat even more food, but I didn't realize how heavy I got. You can probably tell by these pictures, but I got really heavy. Like my face just went like poof, double the size, and I didn't even notice that I gained so much weight until when I got back from Australia. A family member who picked me up at the airport, they were really concerned about me. They were like, Megan, I'm really worried about you. I don't want you to get health problems. You should really like just be careful how much junk food you're eating. They said it in a really good way. It wasn't like rude. It was coming from a very concerned place, so I didn't take any offense to it. I actually am very grateful that that family member told me that, because I genuinely could not see it. Like, I don't know if it was body dysmorphia, but I genuinely had no idea that I gained that much weight. I knew that I had to change because it wasn't just for aesthetics, it was more about like my health. Like, if I had continued to eat like that, what would I look like? What health problems would I be getting? Coffee break. I kind of figured that the two things that I really needed to change was my exercise, or lack of it, and my unhealthy eating. I knew I didn't want to go to a gym. I was too embarrassed, to be honest, about my size, and also I just didn't really have the money for that. It's pretty expensive, you know, especially when you've just graduated high school, you don't really have a job. Like, I quit my job when I went to Australia. So I started doing it at home. I started jumping rope, jump rope. I started jump rope. I would wake up at like 7 a.m. in the morning and I'd turn on the TV and I would just do that for like a good half an hour, or try to be honest. Like, I really sucked. I could only do it for like 5 minutes at first. So I slowly worked myself up to 30. Another way that I did it was by dancing to Beyonce. So I would learn a Beyonce choreography. For example, Single Ladies was my favorite dance. So I would literally dance to that 10 times because it was about 3 minutes long, so I would just repeat it like 10 times, so it'd be 30 minutes. I also did like Pilates sometimes, the Victoria's Secret workouts on YouTube, and I would just kind of follow them. And then I did quite a lot of research online when it came to food, which was something that was brand new to me. I didn't really grow up with a healthy example of healthy eating should look like. I would just eat like microwavable dinners or instant ramen noodles, KD, like Kraft dinner. Oh, there was a book, if I can manage to remember the book, there was a book that I read about food, which really helped me. It was something my mom had, but I really took what the book said to heart because it was really talking about long-term weight loss and small changes and things like that. So I knew that it wasn't gonna be a quick fix. I knew it was gonna take a long time, but it was actually very exciting. Like, when I look back at those times, like, I actually genuinely enjoyed the process. Like, it was so fun learning new things and knowing I was making such a positive impact in my life. So there were some really important things that I changed. So the first one was water. I never drank water before. I don't know how the hell I survived 18 years on earth without drinking water, because bitch, I never drank water. So I stopped drinking pop, stopped getting my Coke Slurpees, which was very heartbreaking for me, and I started just solely drinking water, and that alone makes you lose so much weight because you have no idea how much sugar and calories are in these sugary drinks. I couldn't really adjust to just drinking water at first, so I just would add like lemons and limes into there just to like give it some flavor. I stopped eating out. I would just cook at home, and the foods I would cook at home were like really healthy. So I would just have like whole foods like salmon with sweet potato, and I started having breakfast, which is something I never did before, with a lot of fruit, just like a lot of like whole foods, no sugary stuff. Now, I say this like nonchalant, but it was actually very difficult to transition to eating healthy. Like, there were a lot of points where I would cave in and get a burger at work, and then I would feel very guilty, and like I would never accomplish my goal. So what I did was I wrote down actually how I felt when I ate the burger. I would just kind of look at it if I ever felt like going off track. And another thing that I did was I started having cheat meals every single Friday. I still do it to this day. Every single Friday I have a cheat meal, so I'm allowed to have whatever I want. It can be as greasy, as fried as I want it to be. So I would have like the most disgustingly unhealthy things on Fridays. I would have my Coke Slurpee, I would have my burgers with fries drenched in gravy like poutine, and I would look forward to it every single week. And that really helped me stay on track, because when you're transitioning from eating junk food to eating healthy, like, you crave junk food, like crave it. And that was really the only way that I could get through that period, was knowing that I could still eat these foods, but just not all the time. So I had a bunch of little rules as well, because when you're transitioning from eating, like overeating and eating a lot of junk food, it can be quite difficult to know if your hunger cues are actually hunger cues, or if you're just craving the junk food, or if you're thirsty, because thirst actually feels like hunger. A lot of times when I would feel very hungry, I would drink water and I would wait like 10 minutes, and if I was still hungry, I would eat. But most of the time, like between meals, if I had water when I felt hungry, I wasn't actually hungry, I was just thirsty. So I'll link that video down below so you guys can check it out, because it is extremely helpful and it helps you transition from that stage, because it is quite hard to get through it. But yeah, I did all those things and it took me about a whole year to lose 60 pounds. So I lost between about 1 to 2 pounds per week, which is very slow and very different from all those YouTube videos that go, I lost 60 pounds in a month. So part 2, how have I been able to maintain my weight loss? So I'd say probably the most important thing was, this was a lifestyle change. There were no diets involved, no detox teas, no waist trainers, nothing. It was literally just me trying to change my really unhealthy habits and create new ones that I knew that I could actually stick with. You know, a lot of those things are just, in my opinion, alleviating symptoms rather than the problem. Like, the problem is the way that you eat, or it's your lack of exercise, or you have a medical problem and you shouldn't listen to me and you should go to a doctor. The second thing was honesty. I'm very honest with myself. Like, if I notice that I'm gaining weight, like say in my stomach area or my arms or wherever, I kind of evaluate my habits and I try to think, okay, what is it that's changed recently that's caused me to gain weight? And normally I can spot the problem, like maybe I've been eating white bread instead of brown bread, or maybe I've been, I don't know, eating out a little bit too much. Like, I'm really honest with myself, because that's one thing that I didn't do when I was gaining weight. Number 3, so I don't really want to mention this because I should exercise a lot more than I do, but exercise is really important for just your general health and your brain health. But the one thing that I've done a lot differently than before is I walk everywhere. So I actually don't have a car at the moment, because fortunately in Europe you don't have to have a car like you do in Canada. So it really helped me maintain my weight. So number 4 is probably the most important thing, and that is eating at home. Eating at home not only saves your bank account, but it also saves you the trouble of not knowing what's in your food. So a lot of people always say, oh, I really want to eat healthy, but it's so expensive. It's really not. Eating out is very expensive. Before, I used to eat out like 2 to 3 times a day. That's pretty much the same as how much a week's worth of groceries cost for me. And I also know what I'm eating. Like, there's no hidden sugars or sauces or calories. So like, when you go out to a restaurant and you order a salad, salads are normally more calories than the burgers, because they have to be tasty for it to be in a restaurant, you know? Number 5 is, if you don't buy it, you won't eat it. If your fridge is stocked up with healthy foods, you're gonna eat the healthy foods. You're not gonna go out of your way to go down to the store and get a cookie. I mean, you may, but you're not gonna do that every day when you're craving one. I admit in myself, if I were to buy a bunch of junk food, put it in my cupboards, I would eat it. Like, I remember my grandma one year, like when I lived in Canada, she brought home this huge Galaxy bar from the UK. I mean, this thing was massive. Girl, that thing was gone within hours. Like, I could not stop eating it. It was so good, but it was so bad. So one thing that's really important is not to restrict yourself. So there's like this thing that goes around, apparently carbs are like the devil's spawn or something. Like, people are always like, don't eat carbs, cut out fats. But like, carbs are very important in your diet. Like, you have no idea how important it is to eat carbs. It gives you energy, you know, as long as they're like whole grain carbs, like, you're not gonna have a problem. To be honest, like, I even did this as well. Like, I kind of cut out carbs, not entirely, but I still actively chose not to eat a lot of carbs. But one thing that I learned from dating an Italian is you can have pastas and have it be healthy. Like if you compare an Italian pasta to an Americanized pasta, bitch, they are so different. Like in America and Canada, we use so much sauce, so much cheese, we add chicken and all this extra stuff into it. Whereas in Italy, they'll add maybe like 2 or 3 ingredients. It'll be like pasta, tomatoes, basil, garlic, salt. No sauce, there's no sugary stuff, there's not anything going on, but this tastes better and it's healthy. So you need to eat healthy fats as well. So like avocado, olive oil, so like the unsaturated fats. Don't eat saturated fats like butter, which can increase cholesterol and all those really negative things. Okay, so, into the thick of it. So the next part, I'm gonna answer your questions. So I'm just gonna go through and pick the ones that have the most thumbs up because there's currently 146 comments. The one with the most thumbs up with 100 was, I feel like I use junk food as a coping mechanism when I'm stressed or on my period. How did you overcome those cravings? I don't really know how to answer that question because I never used food as a coping mechanism for anything. I just ate whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, because I genuinely didn't think that I would gain weight. So if you are using food as a coping mechanism, I would probably suggest to talk to your doctor or a therapist or somebody that's actually qualified to help you with that. My uneducated answer to that would be trying to find ways to cope with stress. So maybe try exercising, maybe try meditating. That's something that's actually really helped me. One other thing as well would be not to buy unhealthy food. Like that point that I made earlier, like if you don't buy it, you won't eat it. There are a couple comments actually underneath there, people giving their thoughts on that, so maybe go check out that comment. Okay, so the second most liked question was, when you first started, did you track calories or just eyeball the portions? When I was losing weight, one of my rules was to eat on a smaller plate, because when you're eating on a large plate, I don't know, some sort of psychology, but you want to fill the plate up. So if you eat on a smaller plate, it just tricks your brain into thinking like you're eating a lot of food, and it can help you stop overeating. So I would fill up my little small plate and then I'd wait about like 10 to 15 minutes afterwards. If I was still hungry, then I would get seconds. But just filling up a big plate of food, you're gonna naturally just try to eat it all. I actually never counted calories. I've never done it because I just didn't feel like I was qualified to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many calories I should be eating a day. Obviously, there's like a recommended amount of calories you should be eating, but depending on your height, your genetics, your bacteria in your gut, there's so many factors that come to play into how many calories you should be eating that I just feel, unless you're like a dietitian or getting help from a dietitian, I think that it could be quite a dangerous route to go. And also you can get really obsessed with food. So instead of seeing an apple as being something really nutritious that you would eat for a snack, maybe you would instead look at it like a number and seeing if it adds up with the rest of your day. I'll link some websites down below so you guys can read it for yourselves, but if you do look up counting calories, like, it's very interesting, and I think it's an outdated type of weight loss mechanism, if that makes any sense. What was the hardest part about losing weight for you? I'd say the hardest part about losing weight was transitioning from that losing weight mentality to maintenance. It was really hard because you don't really know when to stop, and then also if you're following rules like, say, eating on a smaller plate or not eating past 7 p.m., it can be very hard to kind of get out of that mentality. And one thing that I find that a lot of people who lose a lot of weight go through, I myself went through this, but you almost feel like scared after you lose weight. Like, you feel like you're going to gain it back, and you just kind of stay in that weight loss mentality for me, in my case, it led to an eating disorder later on. Yeah, it just really sucked. You kind of get used to the foods that you're eating. You feel like there's a lot of safe foods and you don't really want to detriment all the hard work that you just did. Also, sometimes when you lose weight, you don't always know if the amount of weight you lost was necessarily good for your body. Like, I lost 60 pounds originally. When I look back, I think I actually lost too much weight for my body type because my body type is very curvaceous-ish, and I was trying to look like a Victoria's Secret model. So they were my inspiration when I was losing weight, and I really wanted to look like Adriana Lima and Candice Swanepoel. But for my body shape, I can't look like that unless I work very hard all the time, which is not healthy. People have different body shapes. So like someone who has a Victoria's Secret model body shape are naturally dispositioned to be quite slim, quite petite. Doesn't mean that they can't get overweight if they let themselves go, but if they're eating healthy and exercising, they're naturally just gonna look like that, and it's gonna be really easy for them. Whereas someone like Beyonce, who's naturally very curvy, I'm not comparing myself to Beyonce, by the way, I'm not as curvy as her, but someone like Beyonce would have to work really, really hard to look like a Victoria's Secret model, like their body shape. She could do it, but it's not natural for her, and she's gonna have to put in a lot more work than someone with already that body shape. In my case, I genuinely think that losing 60 pounds was too much for me. So when I started eating more intuitively after my weight loss, I did gain some weight. So I weighed myself for the first time in like 2 years at my grandparents' last week, and I weigh 118 pounds. So that's 47 pounds that I lost. So I gained 13 pounds since I first lost weight. I look a lot healthier. I feel better. You know, I just feel like this is where my body should be. I don't have to work hard to keep this weight. I don't have to restrict anything or do any crazy rules, or you know, that's something that I learned when I moved here. I started enjoying food and recognizing that I don't need to put so much work to look like something I'm not supposed to look like. Every body shape looks beautiful, so I don't think that one is better than the other, and that's why you should just accept yourself and be healthy. Wow, that was a really long answer. Okay, next question. So, okay, this one's quite a long one, so I'll break it down because there's like multiple questions within this question, but it has a lot of likes, so I guess you guys really want to know. So, how do you stay motivated when living at home or with others who don't have healthy eating habits? Okay, that's something that I had to go through because my mom, sorry mom, but you guys don't really eat like the way that I wanted to eat. Bless my mom, she would actually go out of her way to get me food that I wanted to eat. So I would make her like a little list, like when she would go to the grocery store, and I'd be like, can you please buy me some salmon? Can you buy me some lemons? Could you buy me blueberries, fruit, whole wheat? And I would only cook for myself. I would get up, make my own breakfast, and I would eat my own dinner. So I cooked my own foods. At what point does it become easier to say no to fast food and junk food? It takes time. So I think that having a cheat meal, like I mentioned before, is crucial to weight loss, especially if you have gained weight because of unhealthy eating. That's really the only way that worked for me. I'm not saying that's the only way that you will be able to do it, but when I knew I had the option to eat whatever I want on a certain day, it's easier for me to say no throughout the week and stick to my plan and tell yourself I don't want that rather than I can't have that. Because if you're telling yourself you can't have something, you're more likely to want it. But if you don't want it and you can have it on Friday, it's easier to say no. I've lost weight for other people because I was interested in somebody, etc., and always rebounded. How do you stay motivated with yourself as the primary reason for why you want to lose weight and stay on track for the long run? Okay, so first of all, you should not be losing weight for anyone, because someone's preference, if they don't like you for you, there's gonna be someone else better than that person who likes you just as you are. So don't ever lose weight for anyone. If you want to lose weight, it's because you have to want to lose it. The way that I motivated myself was because I just genuinely didn't want to have health problems. And when I started eating healthy foods, like my body was releasing so much dopamine. When I ate healthy foods, my body just felt really, really good. I don't know if the junk food was rotting my organs or something, but I genuinely felt like I just detoxified myself and it felt like heaven. Start a lot with knowing when I'm full and satisfied. Other times that's the reason why I overeat. Do you have any tips or tricks to avoid this? So someone replied, you could be dehydrated. That is very true. Sometimes you can confuse dehydration with hunger. Every time you're thirsty or hungry, drink a big glass of water, and then if you wait like 10 minutes and you're still hungry, then it probably was actual hunger. And also try that little trick I told you about the plates. So get smaller plates and then wait like 10-15 minutes and then get seconds if you're still hungry. What was the most effective form of exercise? Any exercise you do is the most effective. Like, it doesn't really matter what you do. I just think you need to get your heart rate going. It's more about consistency rather than the exercise itself. So if you're consistently going for walks or consistently going swimming, you're gonna be healthier than someone who just chooses to jump rope once a week because they think it's the most effective. So that's why I kind of started to do the Beyonce thing, the Beyonce dances. So maybe it was the Beyonce dances that were the most effective because they were the ones I enjoyed the most. How did you eat healthy when there was no time to cook? Whenever I feel like I can't cook, so say if I have to work really early in the morning or I'm going somewhere early, I will spend the evening the night before packing my lunch or pre-cooking things. When I was working at the airport in Vancouver, I had to wake up sometimes at like 2 in the morning. No, maybe not 2, like 3 in the morning to get ready and leave to start work at 5 a.m. And bitch, there was no way I would be cooking food. So I would just cook it the night before. I had it all prepared and it just made my life really easy and it made me stay on track. Next question. I'm gonna answer just a few more because I feel like this video is gonna be really, really long. How long did it take you to notice your body changing / weight loss? So in the beginning, I'd say it was very noticeable straight off the bat because I was eating so unhealthy. So when I stopped drinking pops and Slurpees and I started just solely drinking water, that really affected my weight. And then probably like I'd say after 2 or 3 months, then it started to become very slow and I stopped really noticing any changes. So I would recommend not to really be too concerned because your body is just going to do its own thing. Like if you are eating healthy and drinking water and exercising, you may not notice it, but it will be coming off and it comes off really slowly. So that's why I say to like weigh yourself once a week, just kind of keep up with your progress. Sometimes I feel you can think you reach a plateau, but it's really like your body gaining muscle and that's why you're not really noticing the numbers. Muscle weighs more than fat. So if you're exercising and doing a lot of strength training, you might not notice the numbers going down anymore, but you could be losing weight off of your arms and inches off your waist. Okay, I think I'm gonna end it there. I'm so sorry there's so many questions. I feel so bad. But I'm really hungry now. My battery's about to die. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I'm really sorry that I had to delete my other one, but I hope that the little Q&A made up for it. But yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel to see more lifestyle vlogs, animal stuff, university stuff, food stuff, and I'll see you guys next Thursday for another video. Bye!